Dave, we didn't talk to you after the suspensions came down. So what was your reaction and how did you feel about the fact that you're being held accountable for holding back 25 players on your bench?
Um, I think that, this is an unprecedented, number, for a pitcher. So I know that Joe's in the process of appealing, which I completely agree with. I understand. As far as me getting suspended, that's part of it. When a player gets fined for that reason or suspended for that reason. Um, so I understand the process. I do think that I try to, have peace and keep it from escalating, but that's, part of my job to try to, keep guys in the dugout, which I think both managers, we could have done a better job.
Next question is from Alana Rizzo. Go ahead, Alana.
Dave, overall, though, were you surprised at the severity of the suspensions for Joe Kelly?
I was, and I think that, extrapolating over the course of 162, and I think it was 22 games for a relief pitcher, that's just, for me, too aggressive. So I'm hopeful, we're hopeful that it gets, shortened through an arbiter. So we'll see, but right now Joe's available tonight, and, there's a lot of guys that are upset about the severity of it.
Speaking of just the game itself, I mean, I would imagine pleased with the outcome. Best revenge is winning the series.
It was, and I think how we won the series, we didn't swing the bats particularly well, but the innings that our bullpen gave us, Scott Alexander hadn't pitched in quite some time as far as consistently, let alone a leverage spot. Dennis Santana, he was really good, and some guys going back to back. So there was a lot of good things, and really proud of our guys.
Dave, do you have a starter yet or more information for Friday, tomorrow?
Yeah. So right now, the plan is to have Tony Gonsolin make that start. So we brought him into town, and that's kind of our plan right now.
Does that mean Kirsch perhaps goes Monday, or do you switch Bueller and Kirsch?
That's what we could do. We haven't finally decided upon that.
Okay, and then who has to leave in Tony's absence?
We haven't. Well, we don't need to make that move right now.
Okay.
So yeah, we haven't. It's kind of contingent on what happens today.
Right. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next question is from Dave Asego. Dave.
Dave, going back to the suspensions, you were teammates with Chris Young and our friends. Did you have a discussion with him about the length of Kelly's suspension, and do you feel like you'll have any influence in the appeal?
I did have a conversation with Chris, and I pleaded our case, and I don't have any say in it, unfortunately, but he's doing his job.
What was his explanation over why the suspension was as long as it was?
I just think in their opinion, he was throwing at a hitter, and they're really trying to get away from, balls going at players where no one admitted that he did it on purpose. It got away. It's part of the game, but in their opinion, they felt different.
And just one final question about Tony. How stretched out did he get at USC?
He's I'm not going to divulge, he's able to start.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Next question from Alden Gonzalez. Go ahead.
Hey, Dave. With regards to Joe's suspension, I was wondering if you also got the sense that perhaps Major League Baseball was trying to send a message about benches clearing and players sort of congregating on the field, given what has happened already with the Marlins outbreak. And sort of in line with, I guess, your phone call with league officials on Wednesday morning. I'm wondering if you think that it had at least as much to do with what Joe Kelly did as it did maybe what his actions prompted, which was guys sort of congregating en masse.
I think it's a combo, mixed bag of things that led to that. that harsh of a suspension. Obviously, given what transpired this winter, the history between the two clubs, then you bring in the pandemic and social distancing and trying to, and then also, you know, the beanballing last year in the National League. I think that became a big issue, and benches clearing. So all that kind of stuff led to the fact of Major League Baseball trying to deter this.
And also with Tony Gonsolin, he drove here, right? He drove to Phoenix.
We drove him out here, yes.
So I was curious. You mentioned that yesterday about how if you were calling somebody up from that alternate site, that he would be driving to Phoenix. What would have happened if you guys were playing under the East Coast under these circumstances?
Good question. Fortunately, you know, it would have been a taxi person, but obviously, you know, the kind of the landscape that we're dealing with this year, and it wasn't going to be. So if it were, we would have to have made certain other arrangements. Yeah.
So just to be clear, if the person can't drive to where you are, you have to designate somebody from your taxi squad to make that start?
Well, that's an individual, that's a team decision. And we're choosing for our players' family that you're going to be potentially in contact with not to fly commercial. So that's the Dodgers' decision. I don't think it's mandated by Major League Baseball.
Oh, got it. Okay, thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Next question from JP Hornstead. Go ahead, JP.
Hey, Dave, just to follow up on that, are you guys keeping the same 3 taxi players on hand for each road series, regardless of who you're playing?
Not necessarily. You know, that also kind of goes hand in hand with availability. You know, we've been stressed a lot the last couple of days with pitching, you know, having short starts. Opponent certainly matters, but I think the health and workload. So, you know, we might have to make roster changes, and that'll also obviously, you know, dictate who's on our taxi.
It's kind of in conjunction with what Alden just asked. Is there any tension there between the idea of having the right 3 guys on that taxi squad for the team that you're playing and the situation that you're in, and not wanting to have guys travel more than they need to?
Not having to travel more than they need to, you know, certainly a priority. The matchup, you know, for that particular series, if it was that much of an advantage that would move the needle, they would probably be active. This is just more of a safety net, you know, the 3 taxi players.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Another question from Alani. Go ahead, Alani.
Dave, sorry about this. Just an update on Alex Wood, if you have one.
You know what? I don't right now. I can get one, and I'll have one post-camp.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
You got it.
Question from Jack Harris. Go ahead, Jack.
Hey, Dave, where did you watch the game last night from?
I was on the suite level, right behind the Astros dugout.
And then, like, seeing your guys' first experience with an extra inning game under these new rules, what were your impressions, and how did you guys set up with Bob, like how you would manage those situations?
Yeah, on the road, you know, it's just you're not really trying to play for one in the top half of the inning, and I don't think we did a very good job at all in those innings, but fortunately Eddie bailed us out.
Thank you.
Yep.
A question from Ken Gurnick. Go ahead, Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
Dave, did Kershaw have his bullpen session, or is he still scheduled to today?
He's scheduled today, and he probably should go down in about an hour.
Okay, and are any of your left-handed hitters sitting out of your lineup today?
Jock Peterson, Matt Beatty, and Eddie Rios are not playing.
Thank you.
Corey's going to DH. Chris Taylor plays short.
Thank you.
Yep.
Got a question from Eric Steven. Go ahead, Eric.
Dave, a little bit more about last night, all the extra innings. Just in general, what are your thoughts on, or like, I guess, does that situation invite more of a time to sacrifice, or is that just not, much a part of the game anymore?
No, there's a lot of different components. I think that to play for one run on the road to sacrifice doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my opinion. And then you have to layer in who's hitting. And two of those innings we had Corey Seager leading off, so I don't expect him to bunt. And the other inning we had Eddie Rios. So I think that, this is not, the game's not played in a vacuum, and I think that you have to look a little bit deeper.
Thank you.